Yo, what's up? Prince Sports here. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe. Hope everybody's doing well. All right, I want to dispel this notion or this narrative that the Boston Celtics didn't have a big three or their big three were old and out of prime. I noticed a lot of haters try to use this as fuel for, I guess, to try to discredit LeBron. I don't even know if it's to discredit LeBron or try to discredit the Celtics. I mean, it could be connected. But if I'm gonna take a wild guess, since LeBron's probably by far the most talked about and hated superstar of all time, I think it has more to do with LeBron than just talking about the Celtics. Okay, so this notion, the Celtics were too old. All right, they hooked up in 2008. All right, during that year, you had Paul Pierce was an All-Star in 2008. He's a 10-time All-Star overall. So he was an All-Star for 2008, 2009, 2010, 2011, 2012. Kevin Garnett was an All-Star, a 15-time All-Star. He was an All-Star in 2008, 2009, 2010, 2011, 2012. So every year he was with the Boston Celtics, he was an All-Star. And mind you, in 2008, Kevin Garnett not only was an All-Star, he was a Defensive Player of the Year. Okay? Ray Allen was an All-Star in 2008 and 2009. And he was an All-Star again in 2011. Okay, now, if that's your definition of being old, then something's really wrong. Because that narrative to say somebody was real old and they couldn't win, that usually applies when people are losing. You could say that's more accurate to say for the Houston Rockets when Charles Barkley was on that team, right? Because they didn't win. So whenever you don't win and you're old, then you could use that narrative and say, hey, we were out of our prime. And that's more accurate because those guys weren't so-called dominant in terms of winning individual awards and going to the finals. So that was a complete difference, all right? But this Boston Celtic team, not only did they made it to the finals twice in 3 years, there was one play away to winning a second championship and beating Kobe. Keep in mind, added to Kobe's credit, he played with Paul Gasol, which was his second All-Star. That team, that Lakers team, beat a team of 4 All-Stars on it. 4. Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, Rajon Rondo, and Ray Allen were all All-Stars in 2010. That's what LeBron James faced by himself in 2010. Facts, okay? So stop trying to discredit the Boston Celtics, trying to give the Boston Celtics some type of boosting them up by discrediting, trying to use that to discredit LeBron. So, but all those guys were still All-Stars and playing at a high level. If you're, regardless of your age, if you're still winning individual awards and you're still winning games and you're still going to the finals, you cannot use "I was out of my prime" excuse. Okay? It's the same thing with LeBron James right now. He's 35 years old, but he's playing at an MVP level. He has his team as the top team in the West. Okay? Don't give me "he's too old" nonsense. Okay? If he was too old, you can only apply that if he's losing and he's not winning anymore and he's not in MVP discussion anymore. All those type of stuff, all right? So your notion to say all these guys are weak doesn't make any sense. Or this team was too old, don't make any sense. Rajon Rondo was an All-Star from 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013, okay? So 3 of those seasons he spent with the Boston Celtics, he was an All-Star. Okay? And the rest of those guys were All-Stars for a majority of all those years as well. Rajon Rondo also was first team All-Defense, 2010, 2011. NBA leader in steals, Rajon Rondo. That team was stacked. And I didn't even mention the role players. That 2008 team was stacked. They waxed Kobe, they waxed LeBron. They beat both of them. All right? You don't get to beat in prime Kobe, in prime LeBron, if you're out of your prime and you can't perform at a high level no more. Stop with that. Okay? Now, to sit there and say Paul Pierce wasn't on the super team, that's a lie. That was a super team. How is playing with numerous all-stars not a super team? But playing with LeBron James playing with Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade is not a super team, but this isn't. He playing with 2 all-stars. Paul Pierce was playing with 3 of them. 3. That's not even including him. 4 all-stars. Tell me that's not a super team. Come on, man. Stop capping, you know? Stop using that as an excuse to try to discredit LeBron and saying that, you know, he beat these guys, they were all done and all this stuff. No, they weren't, man. You don't get to be out of a prime, I can't play basketball no more excuse. If you're still winning, it doesn't go that way. Until you stop playing at a high level, then you could use that excuse that I'm too old to win anymore. Stop it. You know? What about 2012 when they were a game away to knocking the Miami Heat off? Okay? They were up in that series, 3-2. They could have easily beat the Miami Heat and knocked them off. You know? And the reason why they won that series, the Miami Heat, was because LeBron James went ballistic on them. The same LeBron James that brought the champions 2008 Celtics to Game 7. Kobe couldn't do that. LeBron brought that Boston Celtic team to 7 games with no other legit all-star in 2008. Stop it. But meanwhile, Paul Pierce playing with a super team. But you're going to try to say discredit and say that wasn't a super team? That was a super team before the Miami Heat. They had to come together to beat the Boston Celtics. Because Dwayne Wade couldn't do it by himself. LeBron James couldn't do it by himself. Chris Bosh couldn't do it by himself. Nobody wins by themselves. It's a team game. Period. You know, stop coming at me with the foolishness, man. It's easy to try to discredit somebody that you have a bias against or you don't like. But when you get down to facts and you want to be honest with it, that's when the truth comes out to light. Peace. And let's put the final nail in the coffin on this Celtics was too old stuff, all right? My final thoughts on it. 2010, they were a play away to beating the Lakers, okay? Only a couple plays away to beating the Lakers. It took the Lakers everything they have to beat that so-called old team, all right? You don't get to do that if you out of your prime. I never seen people out of their prime winning championships or going to the finals. It doesn't work that way, all right? If it wasn't for Ron Artest, a Queens native, by the way, I just wanted to give him a shout out because he's from my neighborhood. Ron, Meta World Peace. If it wasn't for him, the Lakers would not be sitting on that championship 2010. Neither would Kobe be having a 5th championship. So keep that in mind. It took them everything they got to beat that Boston Celtic team. All right? It came down to the nitty-gritty, to the last minute or so. That's all what it needed. And you can make a case. Boston Celtics were Kendrick Perkins away to beating the Lakers. If he didn't get hurt, a lot of people say that Kendrick Perkins was the missing ingredient, that he was the guy that was putting them over the edge anyway. We would never know because he didn't get a chance to play. He was hurt. But that's how it goes sometimes. Peace.